What the Buddha Taught by Walpola, Rahula. Here we have Buddha himself, or the Buddha, as they call the first Buddha in Buddhism. Chapter 1. The Buddhist Attitude of Mind. Among the founders of religions, the Buddha, if we are permitted to call him the founder of a religion in the popular sense of the term, was the only teacher who did not claim to be other than a human being, pure and simple. Other teachers were either God or his incarnations in different forms, or inspired by him. The Buddha was not only a human being, he claimed no inspiration from any god or external power either. He attributed all his realization, attainments, and achievements to human endeavor and human intelligence. A man, and only a man, can become a Buddha. Every man has within himself the potentiality of becoming a Buddha, if he so wills it and endeavors. We can call the Buddha a man par excellence. He was so perfect in his humanness that he came to be regarded later in popular religion almost as superhuman. Man's position, according to Buddhism, is supreme. Man is his own master, and there is no higher being or power that sits in judgment over his destiny. One is one's own refuge. Who else could be the refuge? Said the Buddha. He admonished his disciples to, quote, be a refuge to themselves, unquote, and never to seek refuge in or help from anybody else. He taught, encouraged, and stimulated each person to develop himself and to work out his own emancipation, for man has the power to liberate himself from all bondage through his own personal effort and intelligence. The Buddha says, quote, you should do your work, for the Tathagatas only teach the way, unquote. Tathagata literally means one who has come to truth, i.e., one who has discovered truth. This is the term usually used by the Buddha referring to himself and to the Buddhas in general. If the Buddha is to be called a savior at all, it is only in the sense that he discovered and showed the path to liberation, nirvana, but we must tread the path ourselves. It is on this principle of individual responsibility that the Buddha allows freedom to his disciples. In the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, the Buddha says that he never thought of controlling the Sangha, order of monks, nor did he want the Sangha to depend on him. So Sangha literally means community, but in Buddhism this term denotes the community of Buddhist monks, which is the order of monks. Buddha, Dhamma or teaching, and Sangha, order, are known as the Tisarana, three refuges, or Tiratana, Sanskrit Triratna, triple gem. He said that there was no esoteric doctrine in his teaching, nothing hidden in the, quote, closed fist of the teacher, unquote. Acharya Mutti in Sanskrit, or to put it in other words, there never was anything up his sleeve. The freedom of thought allowed by the Buddha is unheard of elsewhere in the history of religions. This freedom is necessary because, according to the Buddha, man's emancipation depends on his own realization of truth and not on the benevolent grace of a god or any external power as a reward for his obedient good behavior. The Buddha once visited a small town called Kesaputta in the kingdom of Kosala. The inhabitants of this town were known by the common name Kalama. When they heard that the Buddha was in their town, the Kalamas paid him a visit and told him, quote, "Sir, there are some recluses and brahmanas who visit Kesaputta. They explain and illuminate only their own doctrines, and despise, condemn, and spurn others' doctrines. Then come other recluses and brahmanas, and they too, in their turn, explain and illuminate only their own doctrines, and despise, condemn, and spurn others' doctrines. But for us, sir, we have always doubt and perplexity as to who among these venerable recluses and brahmanas spoke the truth and who spoke falsehood." Unquote. Then the Buddha gave them this advice, unique in the history of religions. Quote, "Yes, Kalamas, it is proper that you have doubt, that you have perplexity, for a doubt has arisen in a matter which is doubtful. Now, look you, Kalamas, do not be led by reports or tradition or hearsay. Be not led by the authority of religious texts, nor by mere logic or inference, nor by considering appearances, nor by the delight in speculative opinions, nor by seeming possibilities, nor by the idea, 'This is our teacher.' But, O Kalamas, when you know for yourselves that certain things are unwholesome and wrong and bad, then give them up. And when you know for yourselves that certain things are wholesome and good, then accept them and follow them." Unquote. The Buddha went even further. He told the bhikkhus that a disciple should examine even the Tathagata or the Buddha himself, so that he, the disciple, might be fully convinced of the true value of the teacher whom he followed. According to the Buddha's teaching, doubt is one of the 5 hindrances to the clear understanding of truth and to spiritual progress, or for that matter to any progress. Doubt, however, is not a sin because there are no articles of faith in Buddhism. In fact, there is no sin in Buddhism, as sin is understood in some religions. The root of all evil is ignorance or avidya and false views. It is an undeniable fact that as long as there is doubt, perplexity, wavering, no progress is possible. It is also equally undeniable that there must be doubt as long as one does not understand or see clearly. But in order to progress further, it is absolutely necessary to get rid of doubt. To get rid of doubt, one has to see clearly. There is no point in saying that one should not doubt or should believe. I just say I believe does not mean that you understand and see. When a student works on a mathematical problem, he comes to a stage beyond which he does not know how to proceed, and where he is in doubt and perplexity. As long as he has this doubt, he cannot proceed. If he wants to proceed, he must resolve this doubt. And there are ways of resolving that doubt. Just to say, I believe or I do not doubt, will certainly not solve this problem. To force oneself to believe and to accept a thing without understanding is political and not spiritual or intellectual. The Buddha was always eager to dispel doubt. Even just a few minutes before his death, he requested his disciples several times to ask him if they had any doubts about his teaching, and not to feel sorry later that they could not clear those doubts. But the disciples were silent. What he said then was touching. Quote, "If it is through respect for the teacher that you do not ask anything, let even one of you inform his friend. That is, let one tell his friend, so that the latter may ask the question on the other's behalf." Unquote. Not only the freedom of thought, but also the tolerance allowed by the Buddha is astonishing to the student of the history of religions. Once in Nalanda, a prominent and wealthy householder named Upali, a well-known lay disciple of Niganta Nadaputta, was expressly sent by Mahavira himself to meet the Buddha and defeat him in argument on certain points in the theory of karma, because the Buddha's views on the subject were different from those of Mahavira. Quite contrary to expectations, Upali, at the end of the discussion, was convinced that the views of the Buddha were right and those of his master were wrong. So he begged the Buddha to accept him as one of his lay disciples, Upasaka. But the Buddha asked him to reconsider it and not to be in a hurry, for, quote, "considering carefully is good for well-known men like you." Unquote. When Upali expressed his desire again, the Buddha requested him to continue to respect and support his old religious teachers as he used to. In the 3rd century BC, the great Buddhist emperor Ashoka of India, following this noble example of tolerance and understanding, honored and supported all other religions in his vast empire. In one of his edicts carved on rock, the original of which one may read even today, the emperor declared, quote, "One should not honor only one's own religion and condemn the religions of others, but one should honor others' religions for this or that reason. So doing, one helps one's own religion to grow and renders service to the religions of others too. In acting otherwise, one digs the grave of one's own religion and also does harm to other religions. Whosoever honors his own religion and condemns other religions does so indeed through devoting to his own religion, thinking, 'I will glorify my own religion.' But on the contrary, in so doing he injures his own religion more gravely. So concord is good. Let all listen and be willing to listen to the doctrines professed by others." Unquote. We should add here that this spirit of sympathetic understanding should be applied today not only in the matter of religious doctrine, but elsewhere as well. This spirit of tolerance and understanding has been from the beginning one of the most cherished ideals of Buddhist culture and civilization. That is why there is not a single example of persecution or the shedding of a drop of blood in converting people to Buddhism, or in its propagation during its long history of 2,500 years. It spread peacefully all over the continent of Asia, having more than 500 million adherents today. Violence in any form, under any pretext whatsoever, is absolutely against the teaching of the Buddha. The question has often been asked, is Buddhism a religion or a philosophy? It does not matter what you call it. Buddhism remains what it is, whatever label you may put on it. the label is immaterial. Even the label Buddhism, which we give to the teaching of the Buddha, is of little importance. The name one gives it is inessential. The name one gives it is inessential. What's in a name? That which we call a rose, by any other name would smell as sweet. In the same way, truth needs no label. It is neither Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, nor Muslim. It is not the monopoly of anybody. Sectarian labels are a hindrance to the independent understanding of truth, and they produce harmful prejudices in men's minds. This is true not only in intellectual and spiritual matters, but also in human relations. When, for instance, we meet a man, we do not look on him as a human being, but we put a label on him, such as English, French, German, American, or Jew, and regard him with all the prejudices associated with that label in our mind. Yet, he may be completely free from those attributes which we have put on him. All right, I think that's enough for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. An amazing book. So what you can do, you can just listen to this passage again and analyze all the content and try to decipher the unknown words, because this book contains lots of very interesting and intellectual vocabulary. Sometimes it's philosophical, sometimes it's political, so you can enrich your vocabulary. You'll use your ear and you'll try to listen to it or guess those unfamiliar words. You can even dictate the word to your phone and see what it gives you back. So it will be a very useful exercise for your listening and understanding skills. Have a great day.